a lot of you are planning to move to the UAE or to a Muslim country, and the most common question I get is, how much do I actually need to live here? I'm going to give you some real numbers for living in both Dubai, Sharjah, potentially even Ajman as well. Obviously, there's other Emirates that you can move to, but these are the most common places that people decide to move to, because for a lot of people, they either need to live in Dubai because they've got clients in Dubai, or they've got a job in Dubai, or at least if you're in Sharjah or even Abu Dhabi, it's possible to get into Dubai. That's arguably whether it's fairly easy to get into Dubai, especially with traffic. But these are the most common areas. There's obviously other Emirates like Fujairah that are beautiful and have lots of pros and cons, but we'll cover Dubai, Sharjah, Ajman in this video specifically. So I'm going to walk you through every major base expense that you will face: rent, utilities, car ownership, groceries, transport, lifestyle costs, with real numbers so that you can build your hijrah plan with full clarity and zero guesswork. So first of all, rent. Let's start with the biggest cost, which is rent. For most people, whether you're single, newly married, or moving with a family, rent is probably going to be your largest monthly expense. So here's what you can expect both in Dubai, Sharjah, Ajman. First of all, average monthly rentals. Let's start with Dubai. Now, you have to understand that Dubai is obviously one of the primary destinations, not just for tourism, but also for expats, almost in the entire world. So there's thousands of people that are moving specifically to Dubai every single year, which causes the rental prices to jump up. So out of everywhere that we're going to discuss, the rental prices in Dubai are going to be the highest, okay? Because that's where everyone wants to be mostly, okay? For an average studio apartment, that's going to be basically one big room where you're going to have your bed and you're going to have the small kitchen and you're going to have a small bathroom and washroom, etc. You're going to be set back by around 3,000 to 5,000 dirhams, which is approximately 600 to £1,000. And on the higher end, that's probably going to be a new build, very, very comfortable, very, very clean. And then following on from that, a one bedroom in a decent area is going to be approximately 4,500 to 8,000 dirhams, which is around £1,000 to about £1,500. That is going to be, as I said, in a really good area. You're going to have good amenities nearby, especially on the higher end. It's going to be in a nice new development where things are just going to be really lovely. You might have a swimming pool. You might even have a gym in the building. So essentially, you're going to have amenities that you will not have in an apartment in a similar development in the UK or the West. And then moving into a little bit bigger, if you've got a small family, into more family-friendly areas, you're looking at a two-bedroom that's going to cost around 5,500 dirhams to about 13,000 dirhams. That's about just over £1,000, moving on to about £2,500 for a two-bedroom apartment. And then finally, a three-bedroom apartment, moving on to a family villa, you're looking at around 8,000 dirhams and above, which is approximately £2,000 and above. Now, let's move on to Sharjah, monthly averages. Now, again, for a studio apartment, you are looking on the low end. You can easily find a studio apartment for about 1,300 dirhams, which is going to be even less than £300 a month. Now, obviously, that's not going to be the most beautiful studio apartment. It's probably going to be a small room with a very small window, but it will be somewhere that you can live and you will have a roof over your head, and hopefully it will be clean. Maybe some cockroaches here and there, but at the end of the day, it's somewhere to live, right? For less than £300 a month, right? And then obviously on the higher end, you're looking at about 2,500 dirhams, which is about £500 a month for a studio apartment. And in Sharjah, you can easily find something like that. That's very, very affordable. That's fairly spacious and clean in a nice development. That's going to be very, very comfortable if you're young, single, and you're just up and coming and you've got a small business or you've got a career or a job in Sharjah. Now moving on to a one bedroom apartment, you're looking at about 1,800 to about 3,500 dirhams, which is about £350 to about £700 a month. Again, very, very affordable compared to what you would have to pay in the West, in the UK, especially in major cities, for that kind of price range. While I'm giving you these price ranges, just remember the lower end is going to be, you're going to be pushing it with regards to comfort level, and it's not going to be the most beautiful and nice. And obviously on the higher end, it's going to be a lot more comfortable with regards to what you would expect from somewhere clean and comfortable. That will be very easy for you to live from a Western perspective. Now on to 2-bedroom apartment, you're looking at about 3,500 dirhams to about 7,000 dirhams, which again is around £700 all the way up to about £1,500. And finally, a 3-bedroom apartment or a villa that's even bigger, maybe 4 or 5 bedrooms, you're starting from around 5,500 dirhams, which is just over £1,000 a month in rent. And obviously you're moving upwards from there. Now, bear in mind, these are just average starting points. Prices can go much, much higher depending on the area that you choose, the building quality, the type of community. For example, a luxury tower in downtown Dubai or a beachfront home in Sharjah will be priced completely differently than a basic apartment in a standard neighborhood where you don't really have any beautiful views. It's just kind of, the general public that are living there, etc. You have to understand that, yes, you can live a luxury lifestyle in certain areas, but the population of these Emirates is massive, and the average member of the population is not a multimillionaire. They are, they're average, they're making an average salary, and because of that, they live an average lifestyle in an average home, okay? So you can live very comfortably as an average member of the general public, or if you have the income and the flexibility of finances, you can live a very, very comfortable lifestyle going upwards. Thirdly, obviously, Ajman is even further away. Again, it's not even that crazy with regards to if you needed to commute to Dubai. I personally believe that if you need to be in Dubai regularly, you have clients in Dubai, or you have a job in Dubai, you should be living in Dubai. Because commuting, for me personally, I think would be impossible, especially if you have normal working hours, 9 to 5. The commute, especially during rush hour, is going to be almost impossible. It's going to be around 1.5 to 2 hours each way. It's very, very difficult. You have to find something productive to do during that time, and it's start-stop traffic. It's very, very difficult. So unless you are location independent, or you only need to be in Dubai maybe once or twice a week, I would probably focus on living in Dubai. But if you're like myself, you don't need to be in Dubai more than 2 times a week. Sharjah, Ajman is absolutely perfect. You're going to find somewhere that's absolutely beautiful to live, much more affordable than the prices in Dubai, in potentially some very, very beautiful Islamic conservative developments and communities, especially compared to certain areas of Dubai. And as I mentioned, in Ajman, even compared to Sharjah, it will be even cheaper. So you will find like a 3-4 bedroom villa, massive. We're talking 4,000 square feet and above, for around maybe £1.5 to £2,000 a month, which is crazy, absolutely crazy. And you'll have all the possible amenities that you could possibly want. That's one of the reasons why I chose an emirate that's further away from Dubai, is that you just have a much better Islamic environment. At the end of the day, I don't really want to live in an area that's populated by tourists and people that dress differently from the Muslim community. And I'm very, very grateful to live in an area that you rarely see people dressing inappropriately. You get the occasional tourist. It's mostly European tourists that are from Eastern Europe rather than Western Europe. So even though they are tourists, they generally dress much better than Western European tourists. Even if you have a job in Dubai, but you have abnormal hours, meaning that you can get to Dubai and you can get back outside of rush hour, that's doable. Because it literally takes about maybe 35 minutes to get to Dubai outside of rush hour, maybe 45 minutes, and that's doable. I mean, it's still long, but it's very, very doable. And as long as you get some good podcasts, some good lectures, Islamic lectures, etc., it's brilliant. You can consume a lot of really, really good information and lectures during that time, and you're not going to get stuck in traffic. It's also important to know that most rental agreements here are annual. That means that you're usually committing to a full 12 months up front, and you'll need to negotiate how many checks you pay in. Some landlords/agents will accept 4 to 6 checks. Some will want 2. So plan your cash flow and negotiations carefully, just so that you understand If you're paying in 4 checks, that means you're paying every 3 months. Your rent is going to be broken up every 3 months. If you're paying in 6 checks, that means you're going to be paying your rent every 2 months. So the rent will be broken up every 2 months. So plan your cash flow carefully, as that first payment may need to be 3 months rent upfront as a deposit. And on top of that, you'll have setup costs. You're going to have DEWA or SEWA, depending on if you're Dubai, Sharjah, deposit, which is water and electricity, which is around 1 to 2,000 dirhams. Again, about £200 to £400. There's an agency fee, which is typically around 5% of your annual rent, just one off. There's the security deposit, which is usually 1 month's rent up front. There's initial deposit for gas connection, which is around 5,000 to 1,000 dirhams, about £100 to £200. Then you have the Ijari registration, which is Dubai only, and it's mandatory for legalizing your tenancy contract. And the cost of that is around 200 dirhams, about £40, £50. And that is often done online or through a real estate office. So even before moving in, you may need an extra 7,000 to 15,000 dirhams just to get started. That's about £1,500 to £3,000, depending on the size and type of place that you're renting. I would even go as far as saying that the best case scenario, you should save up around £25,000 to £30,000 as total costs for the first year. And if you want to be extra safe, closer to £50,000. And that is basically all the possible startup costs, setup costs, and running costs for you and for your family. I would say for 2 adults and 2 children, that'll cover 12 months. That includes all the startup costs and your rent and your car, etc., everything. So once you've got your apartment, the next essential costs are your utilities and internet. These include electricity, water, air conditioning, Wi-Fi, your mobile plan, all of which can add up quickly if you're not prepared. So electricity and water in Dubai, you're going to be billed through DEWA, and in Sharjah, it's through SEWA. For a 1 to 2 bedroom apartment, you can expect between 500 to 800 dirhams per month based on AC usage, especially in summer when your electricity bill can spike. So that's one thing to be aware of. AC definitely causes an increase in your bills. It's similar to the cost of heating in the West during winter, but instead of winter, it's AC during summer when you're going to be using it the most. But you'll also need it a little bit during winter as well, because even winter can be a little bit warm. That said, there are a lot of developments and apartments where the AC is centralized, meaning that it's actually included in your rent. I don't know about Dubai specifically, but potentially in Sharjah and Ajman, you can definitely look at the listing and discuss with the estate agent if the AC is included. That's a major positive, because then you don't have the cost of AC and it's included in your rent. Another little thing to be aware of is that if your building has central cooling with a provider like Empower or Emicool, then your AC might be billed separately, which can add another 300 to 800 dirhams per month. Then you have home internet and TV. Providers in the UAE are Etisalat, Do, Virgin. That will cost around 125 to about 800 dirhams, about 25 to 100, going on £150 per month, depending on how fast the internet package that you choose. And it can be cheaper if you pay yearly. And then the mobile plan, which is usually monthly, which is between 80 to 500 dirhams per month, again, depending on usage and perks. Some providers like Virgin might give you 50% off if you pay for your entire 12 months package in one payment. So there's some pretty good deals to be aware of. And then one-off costs that you might incur are AC cleaning, duct service, which is around 200 to 500 dirhams every 6 to 12 months. So realistically, for most people, your total utilities and internet bill each month is going to fall between 1,000 to 2,000 dirhams, about 200 to 400 pounds, and sometimes more in summer. Now, transportation. Transportation is obviously a major cost that you're going to need to plan for, especially if you're commuting a lot. Something to be aware of is that the developments and the mini cities in the UAE, whether you're in Dubai, Sharjah, Ajman, everything is quite spaced out. You can't really walk places unless it's very, very local to you. So you do need a car to go anywhere outside of your immediate vicinity. Therefore, you are going to need a car, whether that's owning a car or renting a car, leasing a car, etc. You're going to need a car. Now, with regards to owning a car, you can buy a reliable used car for as low as 10 to 20,000 dirhams. Now, obviously, the quality of car that you're going to get for 10,000 dirhams is going to be a lot lower. It's going to be heavily used. It's going to have high mileage, but it's very possible to get like a little Toyota or a little Nissan that's going to be maybe 5 or 10 years old with quite a lot of miles on them. But these Japanese cars are phenomenal, very, very reliable, very affordable, very easy to maintain. For example, you can get a Nissan Sunny, that's around a 2007 model, that will be less than 10,000 dirhams, which is less than £2,000. And again, these are super common, extremely reliable, and easy to maintain. There's parts everywhere. So many expats might start with a Toyota, Nissan, Honda, super affordable and easy to maintain. And newer models or SUVs are going to range from about 50,000 dirhams and up, which is starting from about £10,000. Now, petrol, super cheap, right? It's about a third of the price as the UK. So overall, it's going to cost you about 300 to 500 dirhams a month, which is about 60 to 100 pounds, depending on the distance and the car type that you take. UAE petrol prices for July 2025 are as follows. Super 98 octane costs about 2.7 AED per litre, which is about 55 pence. Special 95 octane costs about 2.5 AED, which is 50 pence. And then you have toll charges. There's quite a lot of tolls, especially if you're going into Dubai regularly, which is Salik, 100 to 300 dirhams per month, but 20 to 60 pounds a month for Dubai roads. The cost is about 4 to 6 dirhams per gate, and you'll drive through many if you're driving and commuting through Dubai. Now, maintenance and registration, you need to budget around 400 to 800 dirhams per year for that. Now, option 2 is renting a car, which is ideal if you're new to the UAE, you're not ready to buy, or you're waiting for your residency visa, etc. A small sedan is going to be about 1.5 to 2,000 dirhams per month, which is about 300 to 500 pounds. An SUV or higher quality car is going to be about 3,000 to 4,500 dirhams, which is about 600 to just under £1,000 a month. That obviously includes all the maintenance, insurance, and often they will replace the car if there's any headaches. And then you have short-term rentals, which is daily, weekly, which cost a little bit more, obviously, so monthly contracts are best. Now, it's very important that you watch out and you only rent from reputable companies. The company that I used, which was great, was Yellow. Now, whichever option you choose, owning or renting, just make sure it aligns with your financial goals and budget, and never compromise you and your family's safety, but also don't overspend. Something you need to understand, especially if you're living in Dubai or close to Dubai, is that it's very, very easy to get caught up in the lifestyle and seeing all the fast cars and the supercars around you and the G-Wagons. It's super common. They're everywhere. And if you're not careful, it's going to infiltrate your mind and you're going to be influenced to, oh, maybe I can afford a more expensive car or a small supercar, etc. It's not worth it. Okay, be sensible. Keep your financial goals at the forefront of your mind and spend according to a clear set budget, because all of these expenses can very quickly get out of control if you're not careful. So now let's talk about your day-to-day living costs, things like groceries, eating out, gym memberships, and weekly activities. This is where a lot of people overspend without realizing it. Groceries for a single person will be around 800 to 1,200 dirhams per month. For a family of 4, 2 to 3,000 dirhams. Shopping at Lulu or Nesto, etc. or Union Co-op is more affordable than Spinneys or Waitrose. And a pro tip is if you buy in bulk and meal prep, that can save you hundreds of AED every single month. Now, eating out, mid-range restaurant is going to cost you around 60 to 120 dirhams per person. Budget options at local cafeterias, around 15 to 30 dirhams per meal. I mean, excellent prices. The quality might not be amazing, but very, very affordable. And in Dubai especially, lifestyle temptation is real, right? So eating out too often can rapidly drain your budget. So please, as I mentioned, be careful. And then other lifestyle costs like gym memberships, 100 to 800 dirhams per month. Gyms are amazing here. So the options for fully inclusive gyms, which include everything, meaning they've got gyms, they've got a spa, they've got a steam sauna, ice bath, swimming pool. That's a lot more common here than it is in the UK, compared to the JD gyms equivalent in the UK or Planet Fitness in the US. And kids activities, about 300 to 1,000 dirhams per month, which includes sports, Quran classes, weekend programs. Like a soft play will cost about 50 dirhams per child. For example, an Islamic nursery or Quran school will cost approximately 800 to 1,000 dirhams per month, which is pretty affordable. And that will be 5 days a week. And your kids are going to learn Quran. They're going to learn Islamic stories, Islamic history. They're going to learn a little bit of Arabic. Absolutely phenomenal. Entertainment and outings, this can go from 200 dirhams to unlimited. That's depending on your lifestyle and what you want to spend on, but it can go upwards. So just have a budget and stay within your budget. Clothing and shopping. This varies widely, but 200 to 1,000 dirhams, depending on your habits, the brands that you like. But listen, my humble opinion, designer brands with huge labeling, extremely trashy. You're paying for a label. I hate that kind of stuff. You're going to find really good quality stuff that has zero labeling. That's going to be really high quality. Whatever you want, whether it's t-shirts, joggers, abayas, thobes, all of this you can get custom and tailored. For example, thobes, you can get fully tailored thobes, choosing the material and getting it custom fitted for around 150 dirhams for one, which is amazing. So you do not need to spend a lot of money to dress well. And this is extremely important, guys. I always tell my clients that lifestyle is where goals can be achieved or lost. If you're not careful, this category is going to creep up rapidly. You might start with 500 dirham budget and then you end up spending 2,000 dirhams without realizing it. And the key factor is going to be discipline and actually tracking your spending. Very, very important. Groceries and lifestyle costs are flexible. You can live modestly or you can live lavishly. The choice depends on your values and your long-term goals. You need to be willing to sacrifice some degree of short-term comfort for your long-term goals. Or if you're prepared to continue working and grafting until you're 60 or 70 years old, or your entire life, if you haven't put a plan B in place or a private pension, then continue spending and continue living out with your budget, because that's what's going to happen. The whole point of exercising financial minimalism and having an investing portfolio and a private pension is so that you can retire and you don't need to continue working 9 to 5 until you're 60, 70, 80 years old. So it's about delayed gratification. But what I love about the UAE is that you can make it work no matter your income level. You can live extremely frugally, but still comfortably, or you can live lavishly at the highest level. And the choice is entirely yours. But what I always encourage is, especially working with professionals that I work with, is to live below your means. Stay comfortable and use your savings to build your investment portfolio so that one day your investments can fund your lifestyle, not your 9 to 5. Making hijrah to the UAE has been one of the best decisions that I've ever made. Not just financially, but spiritually, Islamically, for my family's future. It's a place where you can live in peace and raise your children in an Islamic environment and build with barakah if you plan it right. If you feel like I've missed anything out or you want to know something else specifically about the process, about doing hijrah or your specific situation, drop it in the comments. Let's have a discussion there. And if there's a topic that comes up repeatedly, I'm very, very happy to make another video talking about that. And I'll absolutely do my best to reply to comments personally to help where I can. And if you're serious about making that move and you want a step-by-step financial plan to help you make that a reality, then this is exactly what we help our clients to do. We work with Muslim dentists and professionals who are earning at least £5,000 to £6,000 per month, dentists, doctors, tech workers, businessmen and women, and we help them to invest their money the halal way, to build long-term financial independence and create the freedom to live in a place like the UAE without being tied to the system. In the description of this video, I put a link to join our free live training to see how we can help and to get you started, or you can just reach out to me directly per Instagram. We'll start your journey to a more intentional, halal and work optional lifestyle, which could start today. Take that leap, guys. Let's get started.